What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and we are back today with another quick overview video of the upcoming Pocket Dimensions that's coming next Friday here. In preparation, some new information has come to light in terms of the map overall. So I did want to talk to you guys about in terms of, who I am planning to bring in now that we have this information. How does it look for the newer players free to play to the community, and as well as those transitioning to the mid game. So just as a quick recap here, if you guys go to the event selection here, as you can see in the menu, the Fresh Horizons event does start actually this week, and by hitting the preview button, by hitting the little eye in the top right, we do get a preview of essentially what's going to happen with the new milestones that's coming out for Scarlet Spider, and then as well this new Pocket Dimension limited time event that's coming. And as you can see, it's a set of 10 missions run very similar to Dark Dimension, and essentially by using Resolute trait characters, we're going to get the opportunity to earn Scarlet Spider shards on top of the milestones that are actually going to be coming as well. So I mean, it'll be a combination of factors to actually unlock Scarlet Spider. But with respect to the Pocket Dimension specifically, though, I did want to talk about my team overall. But before I dive in case you guys are interested, this is located to the right, and keep in mind too, you do have to be a commander level 65 to have this unlocked to be able to be participating in this. And it's run very similar to the Dark Dimensions because how the map is done is actually on the website msf.gg. The map's already been uploaded by the content creators that actually go through it, and turns out that the Pocket Dimensions is actually a rework of Dark Dimension 1. So by hitting Dark Dimension 1 here, if you haven't completed it, you can see already a preview of the characters you're going to face. Now, the only differences between Dark Dimension 1 and Pocket Dimensions is that these characters are going to be essentially the same characters, except they'll have red stars added to their ranking. And as well, if they've been previously characters that have been reworked, they're also going to be revised as well. So for instance, I'll give you an example. I believe one of the notes here actually has Wolverine, and we will be up against Wolverine that's been reworked as opposed to the original ones. So that means in this case, the Wolverine is actually going to be a lot stronger than previously. And as well, because they all have red stars, the combat power of them will definitely be higher up as well. So just for contrast here, in order to fully unlock all 10 nodes, you're going to be facing up against this one. So I really focused on taking a look at the statistics of mission 10, and you can see here Ultron's about 54k here. And on the msf.gg website, when you look at the maps and the breakdown, I'll put it in the link in the description below if you guys are interested. That Ultron is actually about 127k because he has the 4 red. To the right of him, he has the Merc Lieutenant, who's also around 110k, so forth. So essentially, you're just getting juiced up versions of the characters that you see here, and that's really going to be a really good preview of what you're going to be up against if you're doing Pocket Dimensions for the first time. And as well, again, it's going to mirror Dark Dimension 1 with essentially the reworked characters and increased power levels. So now that gives us a little bit of context in terms of how powerful does our characters need to be when we bring them up. So you can see I'm maxed out at level 85, but for those of you watching that are newer to the game, it is unfortunate that it seems like you are going to need some more powerful characters and team synergies in order to actually fully unlock Pocket Dimensions, and beating it twice will unlock the rewards. And keep in mind as well, I think when I was looking through the maps online too, you can actually comfortably get to mission 6. Mission 6 is really where it's reasonable, and then after mission 6 is really where it starts getting a lot more difficult. So for reference, you can see here the top power is about 30k. I think for mission 6 in the Pocket Dimensions, these guys fell in the power level between 60-65k, and then after that, starting in this node here with Vision as the boss, they jump anywhere from 80 to 90k plus. So that gives you a sense in terms of how high you may need to build your characters, because generally, if you're within that 5-10k range of your character and the enemies, that's usually a pretty good measurement of where your characters should be if you want to push it. Obviously, strategy can always play a factor, but that's really just the general guideline. So just for reference as well, if you guys scroll to the right, this is where the Pocket Dimension is actually held. Now, you can actually see a breakdown of the rewards that's going to be rewarded here. So obviously the big thing here is going to be the completed teal gear pieces that are going to be building towards Dark Dimension 5, as you can see. And we don't actually see any Scarlet Spider Shards because you actually need to beat this mode once, and then during the second run of it, by completing it a second time is when the Scarlet Spider Shards are unlocked. So just a heads up, that's why you don't see any here. But yeah, this is just if you wanted to get a sneak peek. That's pretty much a quick rundown of the nodes. So again, it mirrors Dark Dimension 1 exactly. Essentially, the difference is that the characters are reworked, and they have an increase in statistical boost as a result of the red stars that have been added. So now let's talk about roster. I had a good chance to kind of review and set up a game plan here, and unfortunately, like I said, it is a little bit tailored towards those who already kind of unlock more characters in the game. So if you're newer to the game, it might be a very challenging mode to go through, especially if you want to go through it all the way to unlock the Scarlet Spider Shards, because we're gonna need some decently powerful characters just to be able to beat it twice. So I'm gonna walk you through my 5-man roster and why I chose them, but you know, unfortunately it may not be accessible. So I'll start off with the obvious one here. Omega Red, the newest legendary that's been added to the game, the second mythic after Adam Warlock. And with Omega Red, his events only run twice, so players out there may not have him unlocked, and unfortunately he just has a lot of capabilities that I'm gonna really appreciate. I haven't trained him up right now because with the Scarlet Spider event coming up, you know, I do plan on training him up to a suitable level, but you bet he's gonna be likely tier level 13, tier level 14, probably level 75, 70 or 75. I think it'll be good enough. But yeah, that's the main reason he's really important is because Omega Red's ultimate here can actually flip positive effects to negative, so that's just gonna actually apply some, you know, detriment to them. He's got some really strong statistical boosts. You can see that he can apply trauma and an ability block as well. And the beautiful thing about all of his abilities is that he actually drains HP. So it's gonna be, he's a really self-sufficient character and definitely a top 5 legendary in the game. So that's why it's an unfair advantage for those of you who are like the late game that have already unlocked Omega Red, because he's gonna be a very strong 5th edition to be built as part of the roster. Another one for the newer players that may not be accessible is Cersei was a free-to-play character unlocked via after her release. You know, she's not available in the game, and she's a very, very powerful character. When combined with Icarus, they are top 5 characters in the game. And for her, she also has a cleanse, which is really good, and as well a handy stun that's going to be able to control the mobs. So I think right off the bat, these two characters really give us an unfair advantage, especially if we've been in the game a little bit longer than those of you starting out. So that's the unfortunate downside of this event. I hope they bring it back so that there's another opportunity for those of you that are new to the game to actually be a part of this event, because those two characters are really going to be able to set a tone. Another one is obviously going to be Scarlet Spider that's released as part of the event. And the good news is he's only unlockable at 45 shards. I opened a few orbs using power cores just to get him ready, but he's actually going to be one of the ones that I'm just going to be training up, just because of the fact that he has really strong abilities as well, and he's going to be synergizing with Miles Morales, right? You know, he's got the ability to actually prolong negative conditions, which complements extremely well with Omega Red. His ultimate here does some really good damage, and as well, again, similar to Omega Red, he can actually clear positive effects on any enemies that have a slow, so it just works in synergy. It's got some good damage. And again, he's going to be combinating himself with Spider-Man Miles Morales being part of the Web Warriors. And the cool thing about building these two characters is that they're going to be part of a new aid meta for the bio mode. So, I mean, it's honestly just a really smart investment overall, especially now that the symbiotes are slowly getting phased out of the Doom 2 raids. And this is especially important for those of you transitioning to the end game, because the Doom 2 raids are pretty much the only way to farm teal orbs, and by having a strong niche bio raid team, they're gonna be in there for the long term, especially if Scopely decides to have more higher difficulties being added to the Doom raid. To complement the 5th character addition to my roster, it's Shuri having the defensive capabilities. She's got defense up, she's got some strong healing, she's got some heal block that she can prevent enemies from actually recuperating. And the nice thing about her is she is readily available in the game, as she's a permanent legendary. And with her only being unlockable with 5 Spider-Verse characters, she's definitely one of the best legendary characters to unlock. And unfortunately, y'all still have time, so hopefully you can get her just to provide that capability for your team and support. So those 5, I definitely do strongly believe they would be able to get the job done, especially if you can bring them to level 70, level 75, bring them to at least tier level 13 or 14. So other notable additions that you may use potentially if you don't have Cersei or Omega Red, I did want to touch on briefly. I think Multiple Man's a really powerful character. He doesn't get much love because obviously with the Astonishing X-Men, they pretty much took over his meta and niche, and his X-Factor didn't really get a chance. But, you know, he's a strong standalone character because he can provide a lot of support with his clones. They can soak up a lot of damage, and they also apply taunt. So, I mean, he's really just going to be good for soaking up damage while your damage dealers are able to take down the enemies. And as well, Misty Knight's a really good one too because, you know, for sure her team is a top 2, top 3 war defense team. She works extremely well with Shang-Chi, who's now farmable in the Blitz store. So, I mean, those are 2 characters that are readily available that can combine with each other. She has value in the Doom raids. She can actually be used for tech nodes if you actually bring her. And as well, I've seen players use her for Dark Dimension too. So, I mean, you definitely won't be losing out on materials if you bring her. But just keep in mind, again, if you have Omega Red or Cersei, I would definitely take them over Misty Knight just because you can see here, I still don't have her built up too much just because I'm not really too heavily involved in war. But for sure, if there were lesser alternatives, you bet I would consider Misty Knight. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, there's not really any strong additions here, with the exception of Magic being one of the newer characters being added. And for her, she's just going to be a part of the new meta here in terms of the Uncanny X-Men, reinvigorating them and preventing Kestrel from taking down Phoenix. But with her, she's a brand new character, so you may not even have her leveled up or have her high. As you can see, I only have her in the 3 yellow. So, I mean, definitely not preferred alternatives, but you got to make do what you got. So, I hope this video is able to give you guys some insight and some ideas at least, and a quick overview of the Pocket Dimensions. But hopefully you can get your characters up there and ready to go. And even if you can't unlock the Pocket Dimensions all the way, at least you'll be building this for the next time it runs again, and you'll be ready. So, appreciate you guys checking out my videos. Hope this helps. And thank you as always. I'll see you guys in the next one.